So one of the kind of the key components is like we kind of shifting gears now for a second is that you need to have your tool set, but you also need to have a strategy that you're going to take going into a collection, right? You don't want to show up on site and go, okay, where are the computers, right? You want to have kind of a plan in place for how you're going to execute it, right? And a lot of you are going to be familiar with this, right? You've done it before, right? But you're going to get your team in place, you're going to get things like that. But you also want to be kind of aware of like what data you're actually collecting, right? So like in this picture here, right, you're looking at the computer with the red dot around it, like that's where your infection took place. But you also need to be aware of the computers that it's connected to, right? Like what other computers may have been involved, right? And that doesn't mean that you want to collect all of these computers, right? That's probably not the best approach. But you need to kind of be aware of that if you kind of just hone in on that one, that you're maybe missing valuable evidence, right? And that's why having a collection strategy in place is really, really important, because it gives you kind of that flexibility where you're not going to say, I'm just going to collect this computer, is that I'm going to kind of go on site, ask the right questions, look for data in the right places. One of the key components is that if you don't collect it when you go on site the first time or whatever, is that you may not have another chance. Don't assume that you will, right? Like, oh, those logs will be there. Right? Don't assume that, because they could be deleted, they could go through cycles, the attacker could go in and delete them, whatever it is, right? One of the key components that we're going to talk about is really asking the right questions, right? It's kind of a boring aspect of forensics, but it's really, really important, because the information that you get will help set the stage for how you're going to go about doing the collection process, the investigation that you go on from there. It really kind of sets the stage and gives you the information that you need going forward. One of the key components is going to be kind of, I try to identify as much information you can before doing the collection, and this can be kind of talking to, if it's a victim organization, talking to the victim, kind of understanding their environment, understanding the operating systems that you're going to be confronting. And this is important from the standpoint of that if you talk to a victim and they say, oh, we have a BSD system that's running a web application that we think has been compromised, and you've never looked at a BSD system before, like, you may want to familiarize yourself with that before going on site, right? And that's why getting this information ahead of time can make you feel better prepared, which is important, right? Because then you feel better prepared going on site, you look more prepared, which to the client is going to be, or to the victim is going to look a lot better. It'll also help you to kind of make sure you have the resources available, either personnel or, equipment-wise. And it'll also tell you kind of what approach you want to take, such as do we need to get memory collection or memory captures? Are we going to be dealing with encryption or RAID configurations or something like that? All that information to help you better prepare. Kind of some of the areas that are, that you're probably aware of, but that are often overlooked, are looking at things like backup tapes, right? Although, I don't know how often backup tapes are used as evidentiary sources anymore, but they certainly have data that's valuable. But logs are exceptionally beneficial, right? I think that logs are probably one of the most undervalued sources of evidentiary data. And the thing is that because they suck to look at, nobody wants to look at logs. They're just gobs of text, right? Who wants to look at all that? But they can contain a lot of information. And one of the benefits is that logs can contain historical information. So something to keep in mind, that while you are responding to the system now, logs will contain information about what happened previously, right? So that's very beneficial to kind of understanding how an event occurred or how it unfolded. One of the other kind of key components is looking at things like network traffic, if that's available to you. Flow data and things like that will be very helpful in kind of understanding what was going to and from either a victim or suspect system. So it can be really helpful to understanding kind of the activity that was taking place. And then kind of some of the other environments that you need to kind of be aware of are things like roaming profiles, which we talked about before, as well as some of the desktop virtualization environments and things like that, whether they be Citrix, remote desktop, and then also cloud environments as well that you need to kind of familiarize yourself with.